This video on FPL TV is very proudly sponsored by OneFootball. With a rating of 4.8 out of 5 from now over 100,000 reviews on the App Store, OneFootball truly is the biggest and best app for football news, scores and stats from hundreds of leagues all over the world. As for FPL, you can choose to follow every team in the Premier League on OneFootball and then get live updates from all the goals and assists every game week. Download it now completely free using the link in the description box below. Hey guys, and welcome back to FPL TV. Before looking towards Game Week 7, let's quickly see how my side performed in the previous game week. It was a really frustrating start to the game week, with Luke Shaw getting booked and then injured all within 33 minutes in the early kickoff, ending the week on 0 points. Of course, on this occasion it wasn't Luke Shaw's fault, but in general it's not been a fun experience owning the United fullback so far, and he now adds to an already growing list of injury concerns in my squad. Cristiano Ronaldo also blanked in that shock home defeat to Aston Villa, and I guess the only positive there was that in the end I opted not to captain the Portuguese forward. It was Antonio that I ended up captaining last week, with his opponent's Leeds heading into that fixture with a lot of injuries, including of course Patrick Bamford, who I also have in my squad. Much to my relief, after being denied by a string of fantastic saves by Leeds keeper Meslier, luckily Antonio did manage to bag one goal very late on, along with full bonus points. His 8 points were my highest of the game week, which certainly justified giving him the armband. Though, as mentioned, if it weren't for Meslier, both him and Ben Rama could have come away with a lot more. With Bamford absent from my squad, it was my budget enabler Sissoko at home to Newcastle who was his replacement. And unfortunately in that fixture, it was instead the very popular Ismaila Sarr that did the business once again, a player that I was very much interested in last week, but didn't have quite enough cash to bring him in for free. I mentioned last week that providing Luca Digne was past fit, he'd be given one more opportunity in my side, and in what was a poor showing from my defence in general, Luca Digne ended up being the highest scorer of the 5, with a 5-pointer. Nothing spectacular, but the bare minimum I was hoping for in a home fixture against Norwich, and at least he gave me a few extra points before looking to sell him in Game Week 7. Completing my side last week was of course the Liverpool triple-up, who this time returned a respectable 15 points between them. Mo Salah has now returned in every game week but one so far, unreal consistency. But I mentioned last week how Jota is the one that I really needed to step up, as he is my biggest differential of the three. To my delight, he did find the net in that superb game against an impressive Brentford. But somehow, despite the return, I still found myself a bit disappointed, because Jota once again squandered another unbelievable chance for the second game week running, albeit to some incredible goalkeeping on this occasion. I'll take the 7 points, but it really should have been 15, and with ranks being so tight at the moment, that really would have done me wonders. So for Game Week 6, it was an underwhelming score of 47, my lowest score of the season so far. With me being a bit unfortunate with regards to injuries in recent game weeks, I wasn't expecting a superb Game Week 6, and I was always going to be a bit disadvantaged, having to play the likes of Sissoko, who was always intended to be a bench player for me. On the positive though, 47 was still enough to be above the average score which I've stayed above all season so far, and although the last few game weeks have been substandard, they've not been a disaster either. Granted, I've not made any progress recently, but during these poor game weeks I also haven't toppled down the rankings, just managing to keep my head above water and staying in touching distance of the top 100k, so hopefully with a bit more luck I can start to climb again soon. Let's look towards Game Week 7 now and see how the squad currently lines up. Also, if you do enjoy the content here at FPL TV, then be sure as always to leave a like and most importantly get subscribed. You can also hit the notification bell so you always know when a new FPL TV video goes live. Looking at my squad for Game Week 7, there's a lot of issues here, with no less than 4 injuries heading into the weekend. Luke Shaw may be fit enough to start, but all 3 of Bamford, Ayling and Trent Alexander-Arnold are looking set to miss out. There's also other fires I was looking to put out this game week, notably getting rid of Luca Digne, and with Luke Shaw already on thin ice even before that injury, with some difficult fixtures now on the way for United. With 2 free transfers available, I probably could take a -4 or -8 this week, make 3 to 4 transfers and maybe just scrape by, but in that case, even with a -4, I'd still be starting the likes of Sissoko again this week, including Jota against Man City, who's not even guaranteed to start. So although I'd like to hold on to the wildcard, at least until the international break next week, I'm just not sure I see the point in taking a big hit this week, only to then wildcard into a similar team in Game Week 8 anyway, whilst also giving up the chance to climb the rankings in the meantime. For that reason, although I did want to hold on to it, once receiving confirmation on Thursday that Bamford, Ayling and Alexander-Arnold would definitely miss out, I decided to go ahead and activate the wildcard chip. With a mediocre rank of 340k, I'm actually quite excited to attack this game week now and set up my squad nicely for the upcoming game weeks as well. It's not guaranteed to succeed, but I really didn't like the idea of taking a lot of hits this week and still being unhappy with the setup of my squad. So let's take a look now at the wildcard draft I've put together on Thursday evening, but there's no doubting I'll be tinkering with this side up until the deadline, so there's still a few changes I could make. The purpose of this wildcard is to try and get ahead of the curve on Chelsea assets, with the Blues having a superb run of fixtures over the next 5 game weeks. Chelsea face Southampton, Brentford, Norwich, Newcastle and then Burnley in the next 5, a really good chance for points there, and the plan was to always double down on this very reliable defence. The issue I have this week though is knowing which 2 defenders to double down on, Rudiger being the absolute mainstay, but the second spot is still in deliberation. Marcus Alonso was the one I initially wanted, who always has such a high ceiling for points in FPL. I'm just a bit concerned now that Ben Chilwell could be thrown back into the mix here, especially after replacing him at half-time in the Champions League in midweek. For this reason, his teammate Azpilicueta could therefore be a slightly more boring yet safer bet, whilst Christensen at a budget 5 million also looks to be quite secure of minutes in Tuchel's back 3. All 3 are in consideration for me, but providing I've got strong bench cover, perhaps Alonso could still be worth the gamble. The other defence I'm considering to double up on is Manchester City, who have only conceded 1 league goal all season, and that was back in Game Week 1, since keeping 5 clean sheets on the bounce. They do face Liverpool this game week, not ideal, so I'm not expecting a clean sheet there, which is why I'd likely bench Diaz for this one. But following that game, they face Burnley, Brighton and Palace, 3 great chances for clean sheets. Like Chelsea, there are a few cheaper options amongst their ranks that are tempting into this defence, such as Kyle Walker and Laporte, and with those 2 I could still bank the clean sheets and save money. But for that extra bit of investment, Diaz is a more secure starter over Laporte, and Cancelo, well, he offers more attacking threat than Walker does. Because I'm searching for a guarantee on minutes in this Man City side, even Ederson in goal has been a strong consideration of mine, but I'm just never a fan of tying up too much money on the goalkeeper. Between the sticks, if I am to go cheaper, then it's between Sarr at Wolves or Ramsdale at Arsenal. And with Ramsdale now forcing his way into Arsenal's 11 and coming in at a budget 4.5 million, he's certainly a very appealing option. But despite this and Arsenal's good fixture run, I always struggle to trust them defensively. One of the big omissions from this squad in defence is of course Alexander-Arnold, and that's mainly down to his injury this week. But even so, he's not a player that I plan to be without for too long. The Liverpool wing-back will miss Game Week 7 and then faces a tough fixture away to United in Game Week 9, so over the next 3 fixtures I'm thinking I can get away without owning him. Granted, I would miss that nice fixture against Watford in Game Week 8 if he is past fit, and that's where he could do the damage, but I'm thinking Game Week 10 or Game Week 12 could be the right time to bring him back. To do so, the plan would be to leave a bit of cash in the bank, and then likely downgrade Raul Jimenez to Ivan Toney in a few game weeks time, and I could then upgrade one of my Chelsea or Man City defenders back to Alexander-Arnold. As for Mo Salah and Antonio, well, those 2 are non-negotiables for me, and they remain from my previous squad, as do Benrahma and Livramento, 2 others of which I'm not ready to part with just yet. West Ham's fixtures aren't the best going forward, but Antonio is currently in the form of his life, whilst Benrahma is still offering superb value at his price point. Rafinha at Leeds was a no-brainer addition for me, who's a player I've been meaning to bring in for a while now, with him having a great run of fixtures and really looking like the talisman for Leeds this season. So that's how the wildcard draft currently lines up, but as is normally the case with a wildcard, it's likely I'll be fretting over these decisions until the deadline hits. I think I'm settled on the majority of this squad now, with the goalkeeper, Saka and Jimenez probably the ones I'm most uncertain about. As usual, I'll post the final team over on Twitter shortly before the game week starts, but as there could still be a few changes to this draft, I'll also post the final team over on this YouTube channel's community tab. That way anyone without Twitter can also see it too. Good luck to you all for the upcoming Game Week 7, FPL responsibly, and I'll catch you all very soon.